Final Shot Saloon Studio presents Gunsmoke the Fancast. This is a podcast that discusses the 20-year television show starring James Arness as Matt Dillon. So stick around for Gunsmoke the Fancast. Hello and welcome to the Gunsmoke Fancast, a podcast dedicated to the television show Gunsmoke. First, thank you for everybody for the first season. We did 4 episodes, and we had a lot of response to it, a lot of good discussions about it. Excuse me, we're learning about Matt and his relationship with Kitty. That's kind of our main focus, and lots of fun. If you would like to get on in the discussion of the Gunsmoke Fancast, please go to the Gunsmoke Fancast listener group on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/Gunsmoke Fancast. Please like and share the episodes to help the show grow, and that'd be great. We have like 20 some seasons to get through, and that's kind of why I went with 4 per episode. We might throw in an extra one here and there, but it's been a lot of fun so far. We have Gunsmoke news. First, Gunsmoke Season 11 is out on DVD. Check it out. You can get that anywhere. I think people were saying Walmart is already carrying them, so that's cool. This is from Jim Johnson. He posted this about the statue, the Kickstarter statue. For everyone's information, just because our Kickstarter.com project didn't reach its target doesn't mean we've given up on the Matt Dillon statue. There are lots of other resources available for the project, and we are currently pursuing several of them. We will make an announcement here when we get to the point where you can earn a reward with your donation to the nonprofit. Remember, over the past decade, we've raised over $200K and put in 2 life-size statues. One more isn't that much of a challenge. Thanks for your support to date, and stay tuned for more on the worthwhile project. And it was a bummer because I just caught it. I just saw it online and I just caught it. So I'm hoping that when there's an announcement, I think I'm gonna see if Jim wants to come on and we can talk about it. I asked if there was going to be another Kickstarter project just to see if that would be another thing we jump on right away. He said, not sure at this point. We are redesigning the whole project, public funding scheme, the whole project funding. We will announce it when it is ready. And that was from Jim Johnson. So unfortunately, a little more for the big life-size statue, and it's never easy, to part with money and to ask for money. So like I said, I'm hoping that once we see another resurgent for it, that I'll have him on. One cool thing is I was digging in my Guns magazine collectors. I try to grab the ones that have Fast Draw on it, and this actually had an article of Fast Draw, but on the cover was a picture of James Arness, and he is holding a bolt action rifle, just kind of hanging out in some plaid. I frame the ones that actually have Fast Draw guys on it, but I think this might be a frameable magazine. Pretty cool. I forgot I actually had it. So, that was kind of a neat little find. We're going to be right back to discuss the first episode of the second season, episode 21, Bloody Hands, the Gunsmoke episode. And this was, this was from Sissy Baker. And really appreciate everybody getting involved and throwing out some. I let the listeners pick this one, so very cool. We'll be right back after these words from Weird West Radio.
I have to say the Weird West Radio really slow, Clint. There's too many W's in there. Yeah, it makes me sound like I'm a little child talking, or I'm like, what's that guy, Elmer Fudd? Is that his name?
Yeah.
I listened back to the replay of the show, and I'm like, okay, I need to slow down the Weird West Radio. I need to make sure I enunciate it very well.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Weird West Radio.
That's exactly what I sounded like. I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think it might have been the first show. I'm like, wow, that's really embarrassing.
Listen up, cowboys and cowgirls. You can now listen to Weird West Radio every Sunday, only on Rain Man Digital.
We are back. This episode is called Bloody Hands. I lost my place. There it is. Bloody Hands. This episode actually starred Russell Johnson. Ever heard of him? We all have. We know him and love him really as the professor on Gilligan's Island. Before he got stranded on the island, he was a well-known actor in some other westerns such as The Big Valley, Invitation to a Gunfighter, Rawhide, Laramie, Tales of Wells Fargo, and many more. He actually has played, according to IMDb, 4 different characters through the years on Gunsmoke, 1957 and 1972. He actually played the Stranger in Bloody Hands, 1957. I'm sorry, Stanger in Bloody Hands, 1957. It's the one we're talking about. Harry Webb in The Bear, 59. The Long Nights as Diggs in 1969. And Lincoln Parnon in The Fugitives in 1972. All right, let's jump into Bloody Hands. The very first scene is we actually don't see the one that we love the most is the walk through Boot Hill. We see 4 outlaws held up in a home, and we hear that they've killed 2 men in Dodge in a bank holdup. They're kind of about ready to leave and get out of Dodge, and we see our famous marshal. He actually tells them to hold it. They go for their guns, and he takes care of all 3 outlaws outside, and then he calls out Bran. Bran actually surrenders to the marshal, and he's actually impressed, I would say, with Dillon's handiwork, and he makes Bran help load up the bodies. And Bran is really... what I found interesting on this little scene here is Bran is really shocked that Matt Dillon did all this by himself, and he actually even calls him a butcher. He says he actually called these people like meat, like he didn't even have feelings towards these guys. And you know, it's kind of funny because, like, he and the others, after robbing a bank and killing 2 men, he's already better than Matt Dillon. And I thought that was kind of a unique scene. Excuse me, because he kept calling him a butcher. And so then we head in. Oh, what I was going to say is that, you know, Matt Dillon only used a shotgun and his 6-gun to take out these 3 guys. And he's very proficient at what he does with a 6-gun. a firearm. And so then they ride into town, and they see Doc and Chester, and Bran is still calling the marshal a butcher, and he makes it sound like it was no big deal to our marshal, and it sounds like he's getting to him. He's getting under his skin. We kind of noticed that Marshal Dillon it's starting to eat at him a little bit at this point. The tired and weary marshal heads into the office to get some sleep. We see like I said, the job of the marshal starting to get to him. He's very tired. He's very mentally tired. Maybe it got to him because he's been chasing these guys for a while. I'm assuming that after doing that so often that it would actually probably wear you out a little. So then we head over to the Long Branch, this is kind of an interesting scene too. We see Kitty, and she's watching Chester just drinking it up. We see Linda, a new girl to the saloon life, and Chester, of course, is swooning over her. Then we watch a stranger enter the saloon, who is Sanger, the professor, and Linda heads over to talk to him, and she tries to talk to him, and he says he doesn't drink with women, especially cheap women. Here comes Chester to the rescue and tells the stranger to go somewhere else. The stranger tells Chester that he notices he isn't carrying a gun, and Chester replies, "I can get one." Like, here we go. Like he's the big gunfighter. This actually kind of made me laugh because he's trying to be tough in front of the new girl, and really he's trying to get shot over her already. I found that to be a little pushed, but it's Chester. He just falls in love too quick. Stanger replies, "Then he'll wait." Then Kitty comes to the rescue, and we find out that he wants to do some business with the marshal. And Chester, for whatever reason, tells the stranger that he's in his office sleeping. Now, if it was me, it's probably best not to tell a hot-headed stranger that the marshal is sleeping in his office. You kind of just made the marshal or your friend very, very vulnerable. I thought that was a lack in judgment as far as Chester goes. Luckily, we find out that the stranger is very gracious and says tomorrow will come soon enough. And really lucky for Chester, in my opinion. Chester asks what kind of business he has to do with the marshal, and we find out that he's a good friend of Bran's, and his name is Joe Stanger. Chester heads over to the office where the marshal is having a nightmare. And this is really an interesting episode, or a scene, because we've never really seen kind of the vulnerable side of our marshal. He's having a nightmare, and Chester tries to wake him up. And actually, when he wakes up, he's pointing the gun at the marshal, or at Chester, and really the Marshall's face was wicked scary, and Chester tells him that he keeps telling him that I'm Chester, it's Chester. He slowly wakes up from his nightmare, and he asks for a bottle from the desk, and he takes a huge hit from it, and Chester tells the marshal about Stanger, and Dillon says he's going back to sleep, and he'll just deal with it tomorrow. He's had enough. So we wake up the next day, someone yelling for Chester, and I guess I did not know it was Bran at first, and he's wanting breakfast. Chester heads over to shut him up, only to find Bran now has a gun, and he holds it on Chester, and this was pretty super sweet. Chester goes to get the keys, and he looks out, and he ducks, and Dillon shoots the gun out of his hand. did not kill him. He shot the gun out of his hand. So the marshal decides, and he tells Chester to go get some wood and nail up the windows so that a gun doesn't really appear in the jail again. And Bran, the tough-talking outlaw, says he doesn't like the dark. I found that hilarious. And Dillon says, that's too bad. Just very matter of fact. So they head off to, Chester and Dillon head off to breakfast. And we see Stanger outside. And they actually have a little chit-chat. And Stanger's trying to provoke Dillon into a showdown. And Dillon just walks away. Dillon heads back to the office, and Stanger says he's lost his nerve after killing so many men. So basically, they're just trying to mentally break down Marshal Dillon. Then we head over back to the office, and we see Marshal Dillon filling out a note. And we find out that it's his resignation. He feels that he's killed his last man. He has, and what's really interesting is that he even said he's hated this job ever since he took it. And now they can find someone that enjoys killing more than he does. Now that he's not the marshal, he's just going to go enjoy himself. And the next few scenes are okay. We see Doc and the marshal, at this point, Matt Dillon, playing checkers. And they actually have their normal banter back and forth. And then we see the marshal out with some boys, and he's teaching them how to track. And it's kind of a neat scene because I don't think we see a lot of interaction with townsfolk people like that, just kind of general stuff. So then they head off after learning how to track a little bit, and they go get a sarsaparilla. Then we are with Kitty and Matt. They went out fishing, and they get ready to fry them up, which I'd say this was a date for all of us kind of keeping score on the Matt and Kitty relationship. This was definitely a date. Kitty tells him that he needs to start looking for a job. There's kind of some banter between them, like, you clean. I caught the fish and cleaned them. You can cook them. And it was kind of fun to watch that. And I saw online some people were talking about that this was not a normal dress for Kitty to wear. And I would have to say, well, she's not working. I mean, she's out with Matt. She's going to try to look good. Not like she's working. Then we see Chester riding up as fast as he can, and he tells Matt that Joe Stanger is back. And Stanger, he shot Linda Hawkins, the new girl at the Long Branch Saloon. And he's trying to convince Matt that he's the only one that can handle men like Stanger. And that he has to do what he's good at. And it's too late to quit. And the cool scene is he looks at Chester and he grabs the holster from him, and we see him riding off into Dodge, which I thought was really cool. He was very reluctant. He told him that he was done. He couldn't do it no more. But I think the lawman in him, he finally said, I've got to do what I've got to do. So that is Bloody Hands. Very telling of the man behind the badge. We got to see how proficient he was. The little fishing trip with Kitty. I thought this was probably one of my favorite episodes. Why I like this episode? It showed that our marshal is human, and the job does get to him. We see that he would like a normal life, less violent, just time to relax, enjoy fishing, playing checkers, and kitty. We also see that this is his calling, and this is what he's best at. Nobody at the moment can handle the outlaws and bums like Marshall Dillon. And I'm really kind of glad that we didn't see the showdown with Stanger and Matt. We just know that he handled it, and we just know that there's another name on some bark out on Boot Hill. So what did you guys say about this episode? Ross Patterson. I remember this one. I felt bad for Matt, especially when he seemed to question himself and his job. I like how at the end, for maybe the only time in the series, Chester talks to Matt like he's never has, and it seems to spur Matt into action. Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. I actually liked that. Excuse me for saying this, but I'm glad to see Chester got some balls and told Matt where it was at. You know, if you remember the first episode that we discussed, Matt Gets It, he talked down to Chester and kind of was annoyed by him. But in this one, Chester said, no more. You got to handle your role and do it well. Go. I agree with you. Goldie, one of my favorite episodes. I think we get a real insight into Matt's relationship with his badge in this episode. I agree. Alfonso McCarthy, buddy of mine. This is one of my favorite episodes right here. At 12:08 of this episode, always cracks me up for Matt knows how to use his gun. And he's referring to the gunshot out of the hand. And I thought, like I said, I thought this was super cool because he was done killing, but not wounding. He wasn't done wounding. Again, big thanks to Sissy Baker. I don't know how to pronounce your name, ma'am, so I hope you understand. I want to say Zaiten, but I'm terrible with names. Thank you for having Barker in there. But thank you so much for suggesting it. Bloody Hands is hands down now one of my favorite Gunsmoke episodes ever. This one, like I said, had so many things going on. He knew how to handle a gun. We got to see Kitty and him kind of hanging out. We got to see him struggle with the job, that he's very human and that it does get to him. We got to see Chester stand up. I mean, that's a big moment in itself. And I thought that was probably I don't want to say it over. It complemented this whole episode because we got to see Chester not be kind of the simple Chester. And I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed that part a lot. But that is blood. Sorry. That is Bloody Hands from episode 2. Please be sure to like and join the Gunsmoke Fancast listener group on Facebook and get on in the discussions if this is your first time listening. The next episode of Gunsmoke, so that you can listen and you can get on in the other shows. Also, we are... Man, I wrote this terribly. Sorry. You can listen to this and other shows on the Final Shot Saloon Studio on Stitcher and iTunes. Please like and share these episodes to help the shows grow. And like I said, please join the Gunsmoke Fancast listener group and always comment on the episode that we are discussing. And I will probably, more than likely, positively add you on the show. Guys, this has been fun. I am excited that we are in season 2. May the sun be to your back and your aim true. We will talk to you next time, Gunsmokers. Thank you for joining. Bye now.